Now we're going to look at the female stuff, and for the most part, a lot of this is very similar. Obviously, some of the genitalia and things are different, but on the models, you want to be looking out kind of for the same things. So on this female model, we can see a kidney with a pyramid and a minor calyx. We have our psoas major muscle. We have a ureter coming right out of the kidney. You can actually see the renal pelvis on this one. Inferior vena cava, abdominal aorta, inferior mesenteric artery, in this case ovarian artery and vein on the right side. You can follow those down. They're going to go right with that ureter. And you can see those going down into the pelvis here. Let's see. All right. Common iliac artery here and here. Common iliac branches into internal iliac artery and external iliac artery. Let's change our view a little bit here. This is our sigmoid colon, rectum, internal anal sphincter, external anal sphincter. Here's your anal canal. This is the uterus, bladder. Remember, uterus is on top of the bladder. The walls of the uterus, you have your endometrium, which is this inner lining here. And you have your myometrium, which is this layer with the blood vessels. On the outside, this white line basically would be your perimetrium, the outer layer of the uterus. Now remember, with the uterus, you have some pouches, some folds of serosa that make pouches. Between the uterus and the rectum is the rectouterine pouch. And between the bladder and the uterus is the vesicouterine pouch. Right there. Here's your urethra coming out of the bladder, sorry. Females just have a urethra, no parts. This part right here is the cervix. External os. Remember, the two openings are external os and internal os. Cervical canal in between. This is the vagina or vaginal canal. Clitoris in the female, very similar to the glands of the male. External genitalia, the vulva, you have your labia minora and labia majora. Minora are medial, so more towards the midline, and this is the majora. If we look deep in this pelvis here, we can see ovarian artery and vein and our ureter. This ovarian artery and vein are going to be wrapped in connective tissue and kind of suspend the ovary in the abdomen. So they're called together the suspensory ligament. This is your ovary here in yellow. This is the fallopian tube. And this part right here next to the ovary is that fimbriae. This right here, it looks like the vas deferens in the male, but this is a female, so this is actually obliterated and becomes a ligament, and this is the round ligament that holds the uterus towards the front of the body wall. Right here, you have, this is fallopian tube, and this little structure coming from the ovary to the uterus is your ovarian ligament. Laying on top of all of this stuff is your broad ligament. I don't think there's anything new on that one. This one model isn't very detailed. If we flip this over and look on the outside, you can see our ovary, fimbriae, fallopian tube. Here's the uterus. Holding the ovary down is the ovarian ligament here. Here's your urinary bladder, ureter. This is the vagina, rectum. This is all broad ligament. You can see a little cut piece. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is a little cut piece of the round ligament. Now if we look here, we have our labia minora. And you have this big blue thing here, which is actually called the the bulb of the vestibule. This little guy here is the greater vestibular gland, similar to the Cowper's gland in the male. And this muscle is all levator ani. Okay, looking at this model, same stuff that we saw in the male. Psoas major, lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, femoral nerve, genitofemoral nerve here on top of psoas major, ureter, ovarian artery and vein, common iliac artery, common iliac vein, internal iliac artery and vein, external iliac artery and vein. This is the round ligament. Ureter's in green. Down a little bit. Median sacral artery right down the middle of the sacrum here. Here's your sacral plexus, piriformis in the back. Internal iliac artery and its branches. Superior gluteal artery, inferior gluteal artery. Can't really see pudendal, internal pudendal, well, this one right here, never mind, right down next to it. Obturator artery, vein, and nerve going through the obturator foramen. Levator ani, internal anal sphincter, external anal sphincter, anal canal, vagina, oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. Anal canal here, internal anal sphincter, external anal sphincter, levator ani, vagina, urethra, clitoris, labia minora, labia majora, labia minora, majora, clitoris here. You can also see your deep transverse perineal muscle here underneath levator ani and your sphincter urethrae. Deep transverse perineal, sphincter urethrae. And put the organs in. Uterus, myometrium, endometrium, cervix, external os or opening, vagina, rectum, rectouterine pouch here, vesicouterine pouch here, urinary bladder, fallopian tube, ovary. This would just be all broad ligament. This is your round ligament. I think that's pretty much it on this one. Okay, a little bit of a different model here. We can see some abdominal structures on here as well. So you have your abdominal aorta, inferior vena cava. Here's your left common iliac artery and vein, right common iliac artery and vein. This would be your descending colon. You can see your tinea coli on there. Epiploic appendages, haustra. Left ovarian artery and vein, right ovarian artery and vein. Ureter in green on both sides. Iliacus muscle here on the ilium. This would be your psoas major. Appendix, cecum, ascending colon. This is your ilium. Again, ureter and ovarian artery and vein. Look down inside the pelvis, you can see your ovary, fimbriae, fallopian tube, uterus. Broad ligament would be all of this. Here's your round ligament coming towards the front. Here's your rectum, anal canal, internal anal sphincter, external anal sphincter, vagina, cervix, uterus, rectouterine pouch, vesicouterine pouch, urinary bladder, urethra, deep transverse perineal muscle. What this side. You can see the clitoris here. I mean, you can see it on both sides, but labia minora. Majora is not on here. So this is looking at the external genitalia. Oh, look, you can see the external iliac artery and vein coming underneath that inguinal ligament through the inguinal canal there. So this is the vagina, opening for the vagina, opening for the urethra, labia minora. You're going to have a bulb of the vestibule and a greater vestibular gland, which is the little yellow part. Greater vestibular gland, bulb of the vestibule. You'll have that on either side, but it'll be covered by muscle. It'll be covered by the bulbospongiosus muscle, which you can see over here. Ischiocavernosus muscle. Superficial transverse perennial muscle here. And you can see branches from the pudendal nerve and internal pudendal artery there. Anal canal, external anal sphincter. This is all levator ani. This would be your deep transverse perennial muscle here. Again, pudendal nerve and internal pudendal artery. That's it for that one.